at stake. So if I don't present properly, maybe my reputation will be lost. My name will be spoiled. And I am not going to be judged, not just based on like what I am going to say. So these things come into your mind. And then like, again, like this is going to affect your presentation. So you need to get rid of the fear. That is more important. You will have shaky hands, blushing cheeks, sometimes memory loss. You may forget like what you want to say. Nausea and knocking knees. These are some of the symptoms of fear or anxiety. But you can get rid of that. Slowly, like you can overcome that. So first we need to think like, why do we have an anxiety? Anxiety is like because of what? Sometimes fear of the unknown. Or I'm not going to control over this. I'm going to forget this. And then like, am I going to fight or I'm going to run away? Fight or flight mode. No backup plan. These are all comes because if you do not have a backup plan, right? Sometimes like before presentation, something happens. Something is not working out the way we expect. Then like we need to have a plan B so that like you can overcome that. Enthusiasm for the subject. I know what I am going to present. I know my subject very well. I have a very thorough knowledge in the subject that gives me confidence to speak about that. So if I don't have confidence, that's going to cause anxiety. There is no advanced preparation. So when before I going on for a presentation, going on to the stage, I should have prepared very well, like what I am going to say. This is true with any presentation, whether it is small or a big. When I go to a class, after so many years of teaching, even now I prepare, I write. And then I know like what I am going to say before I enter into the class. So that it is easy for me to take the class with me. Otherwise, it will be a problem. So an advanced preparation is needed. So if you prepare advancedly, then you can practice. So practice, practice, practice. You practice many times. So that like you will be confident of the subject that you are going to present. And when you get a confidence, that is going to overcome the anxiety. Sometimes certain amount of anxiety and tension before addressing a group is also natural. And it could also be even energizing. So because that will like, okay, I have little fear. So like I will prepare more. So that will increase my confidence. So these are some of the ways by which we can overcome the anxiety. So like by being confident about the subject that I am going to deal with, I gain knowledge in the subject, I make an advanced preparation, I practice, and then I do have a backup plan. For example, like many times nowadays it's easier. Those days, like when we go for presentation, I used to carry like, there were no pen drive those days, CD. So a CD and my laptop. And before that, I didn't have a laptop. So I used to have a CD. And when the pen drive came, I used to have it in the pen drive. And I will also email. I will put it in my email before I leave. Those days, like internet was not common. Like when you go to the hotel, like you may not get an internet. So like as soon as you leave home, you leave everything. So my CD and my email, like in case if there is any trouble with the CD, then I will go to my email. That was the idea. So even now I carry like my laptop. If I carry my laptop, I have my laptop. I used to have it in my pen drive. So it's easier when you come across certain difficulties, you will find ways by which you can overcome that. So for an effective presentation, you need to control your anxiety. Don't fight it. Then like if you try to fight it, then it may be like overtaking you. And then you should know your audience. Your talk should be audience centered. Particularly when you are talking about for a composite audience. Because many times big professors, they will be presenting to students, and unless they understand that, the students will have limitation of knowledge because just now only they are learning. And if they try to present complex problems, they will lose their audience. The audience will not be concentrating on the talk that is being delivered. So the talk has to be audience centered. Who is your audience? That you should know. And then like you need to cover all the points so that it accomplishes the objective. So my objective of presentation is to deliver a lecture on a particular topic. So I need to have all the points so that my objective is covered. And it should be fun for the audience. And like mostly like we are talking about research, but at the same time, like the research can also be fun. And it has to fun for you. You need to enjoy the presentation. Unless you enjoy the presentation will not be effective. And you need to plan your presentation within a time frame. If you are going for a class, it's 50 minutes or 1 hour. So you always plan for like 40 minutes of lecture so that like you will have some time for discussion. But sometimes it may exceed when you try to point out certain things. But in different other settings where a particular time is given, if you are making your research presentation, you need to complete your presentation in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So you need to bring in all the points that you want to say in that time frame, 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So you need to plan your presentations in such a way that the presentation covers all the points. At the same time, it is conducted within the time frame. Because they will not give you more time. They will ring the bell and then they will ask you to stop. So at that time, if you are not planned, then you may miss a lot of points. Sometimes important points that you want to tell. And if you are competing for a prize, you will be losing because of that. So time, you need to present within the time frame. That is very important. So again, this comes by proper planning and by proper practice. So when you are going for time-bound presentations, it is always better you plan it in such a way that like you have all the elements within the time frame, and then like you practice few times so that you can try to control it over the time. As a presenter, your responsibility to the audience is to be clear, accurate, and analytical. So you need to be like clear in what you are saying. And you need to be accurate with the data that you give. And you should have an analytical approach when you are presenting research materials. So when you prepare for an effective presentation, you organize your thoughts. You have a strong opening. That is very important. So like before that, like before making a presentation, you should think over it. Like you should think, okay, this is what I'm going to present. And this is how I need to structure my presentation. And this is my, like I should start. And these are the elements that I have to put in. And this is how I need to conclude. So with the very important point in making an effective presentation is like you need to open a strong opening. You need to have a strong opening. And then when you are making a presentation in a composite group, you need to define the terms early. Many years back, I was giving a talk for the faculty of Kalasalinga Academy of Research and Education. The faculty members comprises of people from different disciplines, electrical, mechanical, electronics, engineers, people from English, commerce, chemistry, physics, mathematics. And there I was asked to present my research. I mean, not research exactly by my team, but research done by the school. It was called a Center for Biotechnology. Those days, like, we did not have a school concept. So I was presenting what is going on in Center for Biotechnology. Before that, like, we had two speakers, very experienced people. Then third speaker was me, like it was happening every other day. So when I started, because it's a composite group, first I thought I will introduce the terms that I will be dealing with. Because as a biotechnologist, I'll be talking about the research that is going on at the Center for Biotechnology in different laboratories, work done by different faculty members. So, but before that, I should inform the faculty member, the group, as what I am going to deal with. So I'll be using often the words DNA, RNA, proteins. So I defined what DNA is, what RNA is, like how RNA comes, and like how protein synthesis takes place. And few other terms. So this helped people like in following my talk. Otherwise, I would have been talking something, but the faculty will not have no clue. So because of that, many people came and told me, like, after the meeting, like, this is the first talk like that we have understood fully, like, what is going on in the center. So when you are giving a talk to a composite group, that is why, like we said, like, there you need to understand the audience. If you are talking to school children, for example, and you want to talk about your research, if you say something they may not understand. So before starting your lecture, you should tell them like what these terms are. And you'll be opening, I mean, you'll be using all these terms and you need to tell them like what these terms are. Or when you are giving a talk, when you are introducing a new term, you should tell them like what it is. Otherwise, the audience will have difficulty in following your presentation. So you should have a strong opening. You should define the terms clearly. And then like you present whatever data that you have. Then you complete it, you finish it with a bang. You sum up your talk, you sum up your research findings with one or two important points. So that will clearly indicate, that will clearly go into the minds of the audience, like what is the importance of the research that you have done or you have described so far. So a conclusion statement is should be very strong. And you need to time yourself, as we have discussed earlier. And then you need to create effective notes for yourself, because sometimes what happens is like when you are giving a longer presentation, like you may forget certain points and you cannot put everything on the slide. So you can keep notes for yourself. So that will make your presentation easier, make it effectively, and you will not confuse the audience. And then, as we have been discussing, practice, practice, practice. So you need to organize your thoughts before preparing your presentation. You need to have a strong opening. You need to define the terms early. You need to make a very strong conclusive statement. Time. And it's always better you have your own notes so that like you will not have problems during presentation. And then practice, practice, and practice. So what are the elements of presentation? Here, like we will see like what are the contents that need to be presented. A concise and simple title. Any talk should have a title. So if you are preparing your research project, presenting your research project, you need to give a title. And the title should be like simple enough so that it explains, like it reflects what you are going to be presenting. Then your name, your affiliation, and appropriate logos of your institution. Or like if you are collaborating with another institution's logo. So this should be followed by a couple of slides which gives an introduction and a background about your research. And then a rationale for doing your research. Why you want to take up this research? And what is your hypothesis? And what are the questions that you want to ask? And what is your objective? You can give all that, or you can miss like one or two. That's fine. But certainly it should reflect, your talk should have an introductory background. Why you want to take this work? Based on what hypothesis? And what is the question that you are asking? And what is the objective that you want to accomplish? So these should be addressed. And then like once you give an introduction and your objective, make it your objective clear, now people will understand that, okay, this is what you are trying to say. And this is what you want to try to find out or resolve. So then you give methodology. Methodology should not be very long. It should be very concise. And when you talk about methods, like you can give citations as well. And then you can give flowcharts or graphical abstract kind of thing, so that this flowchart will explain the whole process of methodology, that what we are going to do, the pipeline of your work. So you give an introduction, you are very clear about your objective. Now you give your methodology, you describe the study. If you are how you have planned your study, whether it involves in vitro assays or like computational techniques or animal studies or studies involving human subjects. So a methodology has to be very clear. At the same time, it should not be too long. And it should be understandable. So you should talk about all that, like if you are talking about a hospital-based study, a clinical study, where like you need to talk about the inclusion and the exclusion criteria. Okay, this is what I want to include. Suppose if you are talking about a vaccine for COVID-19, you want to do a clinical study. Okay, these are the inclusion criteria. The patient has to be tested positive. The patient should not have other comorbidities. He should not be diabetic. He should not have hypertension. Or do you want to include that? Right? So these things, like what is the age group? Male or a female or anybody? What is their background? Rural, urban? So all these criteria has to be decided, and then like that has to be explained. Then characteristics of the study participants. If you are talking about animal studies, You need to give the characteristics, like what type of animals that you are using, mouse, rat, or any other animal, age of the animal, weight of the animal, sex of the animal. And then like this should be followed by your results, which will be presented as text, tables and photographs, figures. Then based on the results, based on the analysis of the results, you come to a conclusion. Like, I mean, you interpret the results. So this is what, like, this could be due to this. So you need to make a discussion part of it. So the interpretation is based on the results, what you have got, and whatever is published earlier. So now you give your findings. Okay, these are the important findings. And then make a conclusive statement. And then like you can also give a direction for future studies. So particularly like those students who want to present, many times like we don't see that. So you have to have, many times what people do is like they give an elaborative introduction, background information. Out of 15 slides, they have like 10 slides will be about the introduction. That is of no use. So introduce the subject briefly, give a background, and then come to your objective. How did you form your objective? What are the questions that you have asked? And then talk about your methodologies briefly, and then come to your results. Results, you present it in the form of figures, tables, so that will be more visual. Don't put like a lot of text. And then like you come to an interpretation, you interpret your results, and then like you give a conclusion. And wherever needed, like you need to give a future studies, like what you are going to do. Particularly like if you are presenting a progress report, then you need to tell the group that like what you want to do after that. There are certain set of rules which you need to follow. Particularly when you use a PowerPoint or any presentation software, the font is very important. I have given certain fonts here: Comic Sans, Trapchet, Arial, Georgia. Now somehow I like Georgia. So most of this is like you have Georgia and Arial. My presentations. So you choose a font which is very clear. These fonts will not help, because this will not be clearly taking your points to the audience. People will have difficulty in reading it. So choose of the right font is very important, and then the size of the font. So it can be 18 only if there is no possibility of increasing the size of the font, right? Or 20 is better. But it is always better to have 30 and above. And letter case, again, like capital letters, complete sentences with capital letters will not help. Again, that will irritate the audience. And similarly, like make like each word as capital, the first word, that also like first letter of the word, that also is like not accepted. And then the background and the color. Many times, like when we edit the student projects, when they go for presentation, I always have difficulty because of the use of complex designs. Do not use the designs available in the PowerPoint, because sometimes that gives so complex that like whatever color you put, that will not be like evident clearly when you put your letters. So the color combination is important. Plain white with the black color, or you can have blue or yellow. If you have a very dark background, light colors like yellow or like blue, that will be good. But if you have a lighter background, a stronger color is important. Like I prefer blue. Here I made like everything as white background, but sometimes I use a blue background. So in the blue background, I use white as a color, letter color. I use only 3 colors, white and green, light green, and then like a yellow. So in a dark blue background, when you put white, all the text will be white and my title will be like in a different color, usually like green. And then like whenever I want to highlight something, I will use yellow. So make it simply, very simple. Don't confuse that too much. Avoid mixture of colors, designs, formatted backgrounds, because that many times I have difficulty with students' presentations, because when they send the presentations to me, when I want to edit, the problem is like every color will not be like, no color will fit into that background. It will not be dark so that like you can put a light color. It will not be lighter so that you can put a dark color. It will be like a combination of everything. So one part, the text will be visible, and another part, the text will be like disappear. So it's very important to have a background, a proper background, and the right color for your presentation. So always make it simple. There is a rule which says 10, 20, 30 rule. So this I've taken from my University of British Columbia. University of British Columbia is in Canada. They have a wiki page for presentation skills. So this 10, 20, 30 rule is you always have 10 slides, 20 minutes presentation, 30 size. 30 is the size of the font. So this 30 size, like people think that like it can reach any meeting, because we are talking about a meeting like where you have like people of like 100 people are sitting in a meeting hall, where your presentation should be visible to the person who is sitting in the last. So that means it should be visible enough for everybody who are sitting in the audience. So 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30 slides. So that makes an effective presentation. But this rule will not fit into everything, right? Because you cannot have a 20 minutes class. So this presentation is true like for making a presentation like a research presentation, where you need to put a time frame within 20 minutes. And always remember one thing, fitting more text in a slide do not necessarily make a better presentation. So don't put more text into a slide. Look at this. This is another rule, 6x6 rule. It says 6 words per line and only 6 lines per slide. So if you look at both the slides, the one on the left is giving a lot of text. Same information, they have put it in another slide, which is very clear. Only thing is the presenter should remember like what is there in it. And then only based on the title, like you should be able to present. That's it. And this presentation is not for you, it is for the audience. That you should keep in mind. Because many times what our people do is like they put everything and then like PowerPoint is easier because I can read. That doesn't work. So you need to take your audience with you in the process of presentation. So that means your slides are to be prepared with the audience in the mind, not yourself. So this slide, which is on the left, which has so much of text content, will not be visible, will not be easier for audience to follow. So this is very important. 6 by 6 rule. Then like use of visual aids, like your PPT itself is a visual aid. And you can also add variety into it by adding pictures so that improve the comprehension. People can easily follow. It also add variety to that. And then to illustrate complex ideas, it's very difficult to put it in text. So if you put it as a picture, it is easier for them to grasp. So visual aids helps in improving the comprehension because a picture takes, when you show a picture and then explains, it easily goes into the minds of the people rather than putting a text. And it also gives variety to these presentations that you make. And then it illustrates complex ideas. If you want to illustrate complex ideas, it's easier to make it vectorial. Use of empty space. If you have a slide, don't try to fill it up everywhere. Leave space so that this allows your audience to focus on the element that you want to show. Contrast. You should have a right contrast, space, the dark and the light, the use of fonts. This is a background, a blue background with a white letter, a yellow color text for the title. This is with a dark background, totally dark. Presentation looks good. It reaches the audience. It's easier for them to follow. Look at this. Nobody can read. Right? It's easier. It's difficult for even for me to read. So this is difficult for people who are sitting in the group and then like who are trying to read your slides. It will be difficult for them. So a proper background and a proper use of color in the text for the text. That is very important. Right? This is a picture. Look at this. This is without a background, which is on a white background. The picture is sitting there. When you put a dark background, it makes things make clear. It's easy for people to follow. So contrast is very important. Choosing the right background, choosing text. This is another way of presenting. This is not the right way. So if some researcher, he wants to present all his results, he's putting A, B, C, D, 4 columns, 4 rows and 3 columns and no text. It is very difficult for the audience to follow this. Like if you try to explain this, they will be lost in the middle. Look at this. This has text, but again, very difficult to follow. Again, the same figures, whereas you have so much of text written on the other side, the right. So again, like it is very difficult to follow, like where is A, where is B, where is C, like it's difficult. Now the same thing, which is on the third row, the C, that is presented. It's more clear. Now you know like what is there in C and what is there in D. Like whatever there is a C, it's given into C and D. And now you see the difference between the control and the treated ones. So it's easier to study. Easier for the audience to follow. So you need to be very clear. You need to use pictures at the same time. you should think how the picture can be followed by the audience. Then repetition is brought to you by the font. Okay, right. I mean, like you repeat the background of the slides. That is, you have the common slide, like as far as possible, like you do not try to change the background for every other slide. Similarly, like the use of font. As I mentioned earlier, like I always have the same font size for the title. And then the material will have like more or less similar font. Mostly it will be like 28 or 30. Sometimes it may be 24 when I can't fit materials into it. And very rarely this will go below 24. Look at this. One slide is this color, blue. If you put slides like this with different background colors, again it will be irritating for the people, the viewers. So it is always better you stick on to a particular color, a particular background that you choose. Similarly, like don't change the color of the font also. So make it uniform. Choose like one or two colors. If you want to highlight something, you can use a different color. Otherwise, text should be like of the same color. Unless you want to differentiate the title. And then like when you present, you group related items together so that when you are presenting, it will be easier for the presenter, I mean the viewer to follow. Then the most important thing, another thing is alignment. So you need to be like very proper, very align your materials properly. Otherwise, what happens is like whenever you present, I see this with student presentations particularly, and the title will be there, the next line will start from here, and then the next line will go like 5 points, move 5 points to the right. So that will be like looking haphazard. It will not be looking nice, and people again will have difficulty in following, and they may not like it. So an alignment is also necessary. So you have put all that, your presentation has come up nicely. We have made very nice incorporation of pictures, figures are there, nice tables are there. Figures are like proper, nicely organized. So I am ready for the presentation. But now when you start presenting, there are 3 elements which are important. Vocal techniques, body language, and use of space. Vocal technique is loudness. First, I have 100 persons are sitting there in the hall. Then my talk should reach them. So I should be like loud enough so that people can hear that. Pitching for the right points, and the rate, how your presentation is organized, like how you are going to go in a certain rate. Are you going to go slow? Are you going to go fast? So like if you go fast, the people may not follow. If you go very slow, it will be boring. So you need to decide on the rate of the presentation. So again, this helps, like practice helps when you want to do that, because if you want to do it within the time frame, and then when you do a practice, and then you can decide like, okay, this is the rate I want to present. Wherever you need to give a pass. So that is also very important. So the vocal techniques are important, and whenever you want to emphasize certain points, you need to deviate from the way you present. So that the point is taken, and emphasis is given to a particular point. Then body language. If you are presenting, many times IT teachers also, young faculty members, they look at the board and they don't look at the audience. You cannot read or you cannot write on the board or you cannot read when you make a presentation, like from the PowerPoint slide. You are not there to read. You are there to present. So you need to have contact with the people, not with the PowerPoint, the screen. And then the gestures and posture. That tells you whether you are anxious or not. Your anxiety will be exposed. So you should have the right gesture and you need to have eye contact. So your body language is also very important. And then use of space. You should stand in a place where like everything can see you. And then if necessary for a smaller group, you can also make a move. Whenever I address a small audience, like I go up, like even in class. So that like it's easier for people to hear you, you reach people. So vocal techniques, body language, and use of space are important when you are making a presentation. Then these are some of the problems that people used to avoid. They have to avoid. Like when you talk, like I think, I like, that is another word that people use. Often that will come. You should avoid all that. And then like you use unrelated words and phrases because you are not sure like what you're going to do, what you're going to say. And then like people also like swaying, rocking and pacing. These are all like movements. So like people move. When you move, like your restlessness will be visible. That should not be there. You get move. But when you move, your confidence should be like exposed. And sometimes people try to put their hands in pockets. Sometimes they have that confidently they can put because people like to put their hands in pockets and talk. But sometimes because of nervousness, they do it. And that should not be there. And lip smacking and fidgeting. And failure to be audience centered. So again, like we talked about audience, like eye contacts. So like you need to focus on the audience when you make a presentation. So not on the screen. And similarly, like some of these things like can be avoided. So that shows that like you are very confident of like what you are presenting. And presentation time. So these are the points that you have to keep in mind. Not everyone is an excellent presenter in a single day. So don't worry if you are not doing an excellent presentation. Tomorrow you can do a better presentation. So strong presentations require both content and style. So if you are strong enough, if you know your subject very well, automatically your presentation is going to be good because you are going to confidently present. And keep that audience remembrance matters. So because all that you are doing it for the audience, we should reach the audience. Whether you are presenting as a student, your examiner should understand he is the audience. So he should be able to follow. Based on that only he is going to give mark. If you are presenting a progress report, if you are a research scholar, again the same thing matters. So remembrance matters. You need to have a strong content and the style of presentation. So that makes the presentation stronger. And don't worry if you are not able to present nicely. Tomorrow you can improve. Only thing is you need to have time, put in effort to improve your presentation. So these are some of the points that you need to remember. Know your audience. Be prepared. Start broad and get technical specific. Let at least 2 components. Use your core slide in middle. Suppose like if you are talking a general presentation, you can also include your own slides like in the middle. If you are talking a general talk, if you are delivering a general talk, you can your own slides, your research, and then like so that like the audience will know like okay, you are into that, and keep an effective conclusion. So always remember the audience are important, preparation is important, practice is important, and always smile. Have a deep breath before you start presenting. Have water. I need water actually whenever I present. I always take a glass of water. And if you're presenting new things, like if you're not confident of like remembering all that, make a note. That always helps. And try to finish it on or under time. So these are some of the tips for the presenters. And then like an important point is like you put an acknowledgement. Many times we see that or people like they do not put acknowledgement. And so acknowledgement that is important. So with that, I conclude my session. And I thank Dr. Shankar Ganesh Arunachalam and Shankar Ganesh Devaraj for some of the inputs that I put in this slide. And then like for many unknown authors, because I referred many documents for making this presentation, because this is the first time I am presenting such kind of topic. So documents are available like in many universities, Western universities, universities in Canada, they have documents on presentations. They give like a lot of information, right? But so that gives pointers on how you have to present. So with that, I thank you for your patience. And if you have any questions, I can take it.
Thank you very much, sir, for your really, it's a wonderful presentation, and it gave so many tips to the audience as well. Because some of the things we don't mind, even for an experienced presenter, some of the points that you have said here is completely new. So hope the presenters, I mean the audience, will note your points, and in future they will make an effective presentation by using the tips what you have said in this meeting. So with this, I open the discussion forum. So participants, if you have any doubts related to this topic, you can post your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and you can ask the questions directly. Thank you.
Uma Priya is asking like, is there any, I mean, slide to slide animation is good or not? Slide to slide animation is like, I mean, sometimes it may be distractive. So it depends upon the presentation. So like whenever you are making a technical presentation, it is better to avoid that. And then Rajesh Kannan is asking, is there any international rule for time limit in PhD Viva OC? For PhD Viva OC, there is no time limit. And there is not an international rule because many universities have different formats, particularly Western universities. They do not have a Viva OC like us. So US universities, the student can choose the defense, whether it can be public or a closed defense. And even if it is a public defense, after the presentation, like people go for a closed defense. And in India, like we do it as an open defense, but here also like there is no time limit set. It is decided by the convener of the particular committee. Shakti is asking how to avoid verbal filters like whom it seems like it automatically comes while presenting. That we can't help, only by practice you should be able to avoid it. And then like when you know the subject stronger, then these things will not come. So like only thing is you need to practice. And so that like you can avoid that. Srimati Kannan is asking, how many slides maximum can we present in Viva? It depends upon your work and the time limit that is given. Normally for a Viva, like people go and present for an hour, 45 minutes. So like based on that, you can put your slides. But because as it is a PhD Viva, which comprises of all the work that you have done for many years, so you need to bring in all the details. But only thing is like you can make it simple as possible, so that like people don't get confused with too much of data. At the same time, you are giving all the information. So there is no number. The number depends upon your work. And it also depends upon the way like how fast you are presenting. What do you find a common error in our student presentation? Common error in student presentation is, as I mentioned earlier, the background. And then because many times what people try to put is like our students, when they put the background, they try to put different kind of designs, which will not allow you to put your text throughout the slide. Only you can put slides in the one corner or another corner, and half of the slide will be like masked. And then like the text background combination, the color of the text and background. Sometimes it's very difficult to put any color. So if you put a lighter color also, it doesn't work. If you put a dark also, like it doesn't work. So that kind of problem is there. And then another mistake that students make is like the spelling errors and errors with particularly like the words, wherever it is need to be capitalized, it has to be capitalized. So they don't put much effort in fixing all that. So that is also very important.
Is there any more questions from the participants? Sir, one more question from Vishwanathan.
Vishwanathan is asking, what physical expressions or body language help the speaker or what does not in presentation? That has to be decided when you present and then see, so that we can point out, right? Body language is like, when you are presenting, you look at the audience and then like instead of looking at the screen, and then you present. Particularly like people when they start moving, like nervousness, because of nervousness, and that is visible sometimes. That should be avoided. And then like physical expressions, it depends upon the individual person. Like only when we see the individual person, like we can say like, okay, this should be avoided or that should be avoided. Dr. Shankar Ganesh Arnachalam is asking for tips when a group of people are presenting. When a group of people are presenting, again, like we say the same thing, because like sometimes our students, like they do a group project as a group, like 3 students are doing a project, for example. And then like when they start presenting, many times one single person is presenting, or they confuse sometimes. One person presents one line and then another person comes. He says a few sentences and then another person comes. That is confusing. So like when you are making a group presentation, you divide the whole process so that like a single person comes only once or twice. So that it will be easier for the audience or for the examiner to follow it up. Otherwise, like the students, sometimes it is confusing. That's what we have observed during some of the conferences also.
Sir, can you please add some tips for people who are working in science field, particularly when they are delivering a talk or a presentation to the non-specific audience or general public?
When you go for general public, as I mentioned earlier, make it very simple. Don't use scientific jargons, because many times because when I follow some of these talks, like what people try to do is, if you are making a specific presentation on your particular research area for a particular research group in a conference, for example, people will know like what you are trying to say, and then they are easier for them to follow. So with a simple introduction, you can introduce the subject and then you can go ahead. But at the same time, if you are talking to your school children or our first year students, for example, or general public, as Dr. Shankar Ganesh asked. So it's very difficult because you are having an audience who are totally different. So they may not know like what you are presenting unless you give a proper introduction to them. So you need to give a proper introduction. You need to make it very simple, and you should not use scientific jargons because they will not be able to follow. So that by that way, like you can engage them. So make it as simple as possible and explain everything. Like when you are talking about, for example, like people are talking about COVID-19, like whenever people come in the TV also, like many times people will not, the audience will not understand what they are trying to say. So that can be avoided if you take that audience into confidence, meaning that like you should understand like their level of understanding because for a particular subject. And then like you need to make it very simple. Like Sharmila is asking, like, what kind of advice do you give to the students who don't understand? They say the normal font is getting bored, the type of font and clustered backgrounds. No, the advice is like you are not making it for yourself. You are making it for the audience. So that you should keep in mind, because this presentation, like whatever you are making, it is for the audience. This is like making a movie. The director cannot make a movie for himself, then the movie will be failed. Right? You need to take the audience into, confidence. Like the audience have to see, then only like he will get the money back, the producer. So same thing here. So like your audience is important, not you. So whether you are getting bored with a far normal font or not, that is not immaterial. But only thing is your audience should be able to follow. That is very important. So please keep that in mind when you are presenting. Then it will be easy. Because many times, like when we see student presentations, it's very difficult for you should see like when it is presented, it may look good in the computer screen, but when it is presented, how that will look like, that is what is important, because you are going to present it in a screen. So there, like the audience should be able to follow. So you should keep that in mind.
Any more questions from the participants? Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time amidst of your busy schedule during this pandemic time. And really, this presentation was very useful, and I hope many tips that you have given are going to be useful for all the participants, because we have a mixture of participants starting from graduate students to early career faculties. So I trust all the audience are going to be get benefited. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, the organizing committee.
Okay, so now we are moving to the next presentation. Umapriya, can you